So I came here tonight, Jimmy, to tell you and your audience that I'm running to be the next governor of California.
So you saw in the opening clip that Eric Swalwell went on to Jimmy Kimmel's show to announce his running for governor. Jimmy Kimmel has opened up an invitation to Swalwell really anytime he's wanted it. In fact, in the year prior to Swalwell announcing for governor, he went on to the Jimmy Kimmel show to poke holes and to poke at Donald Trump and how he's a bad guy and a misogynist and how the Democrats always stand on principle. Let's hear this clip because it's particularly rich in light of what Eric Swalwell is being accused of doing.
The consequences for everyone else, like women in their bodies, kids in their safety at school, seniors in their health care, like to him, it's me, me, me. Democrats, sometimes we stand too much on virtue and modesty, and we think everything is a Harvard Law School moot court competition. But we just need to talk about this like it's a gut check to the regular folks and not make this so complicated. Just be real.
You say a lot of nasty things about you on Fox News. I mean, they're your parents. Doesn't that upset them and make them go, I see that what they're saying is not true. I shouldn't believe anything else they say.
My mom told me recently that when she would hear Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity go after me, she would change the channel. She's like, I don't like that, honey. I think they went too far. So yeah, thanks, Mom.
Wow. Wow.
So I wonder if Eric Swalwell's parents are turning the channel here because these allegations are horrific. But what's particularly rich is how Swalwell was very active in this Me Too movement. But he, it seems, right, alleged, was doing some really nasty, creepy, terrible things while he was in a position of influence and power. So again, Swalwell loved to lecture us. And in fact, in this clip, here's Swalwell standing up for Jimmy Kimmel when he was silenced by the bad orange man, Donald Trump.
Yeah, Congressman, I see you are wearing a hat. What does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He every night has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans, just as Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him. That is not who we are, and every American should care and stand up to this.
So again, this is Swalwell defending Kimmel, and you can see it in the Chiron when Kimmel had some particularly offensive comments about the incident with Charlie Kirk. So it wasn't Donald Trump firing him. In fact, if you know the facts, Swalwell, this instance was where some of the affiliates of the national channel that airs the Jimmy Kimmel show, they pulled out because they were not happy with what Jimmy Kimmel said. So that was the free market working. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump's comments. But I put this clip in here because, again, you need to see the coordination and the defense that's put up when Hollywood is trying to get behind their favorite progressives when those progressives serve their agenda. When they don't or can't anymore, crickets. That's what we're seeing right now. So where else are we also seeing these crickets? We're seeing it from Nancy Pelosi.
Eric Swalwell resigned today from the Congress. He withdrew from the gubernatorial race in California. Did you tell him to resign?
Oh, I think that was his decision. I think it's a smart decision to make.
The right thing to do?
Yes, the right thing to do, yes. Not to subject members to have to take a vote on something like that, and not to subject your family. Probably 5 times in the history of our country has anybody been ejected from the Congress. Why should you be the 6th? If you have a challenge that you have to address, it's best addressed not as a candidate for governor and not as a member of Congress.
I mean, I tell you, outside of what Nancy said there, which is total defense, what you can see is she's clearly totally hungover in this interview. She just looks terrible. But the point of this is that Nancy now has used up her value with Eric Swalwell. I'm not suggesting that she knew, even though there's a ton of chatter that evidently everybody knew that Swalwell was up to no good. But in this instance, Nancy quickly skated by Swalwell and said, yeah, it was the right thing to do. Move on. Let's get to the next topic. Well, who also went to the next topic? Our little friend, pencil neck, Adam Schiff.
Do you still have questions about who knew what when about his behavior?
Well, I don't know what others may have known. I can tell you that I certainly didn't know that he was involved in any conduct along the lines of what has come out since Friday. And if I had, I wouldn't have gone near him with a 10-foot pole. I think there are many people in Congress as shocked as I am. Maybe I'm just not plugged into what others are if they've heard more, but I just feel shocked and betrayed and sickened. And I think a sense of grief about all of this. But my paramount feeling is that I'm grateful these women came forward. I'm grateful that they did so when they did. It prevented our state from making a potentially terrible mistake. And certainly if I had known what these women have to say, I wouldn't have gone near them with a 10-foot pole, as I said.
Yeah, this after Adam Schiff endorsed Swalwell for governor. Not suggesting that Schiff knew. I'm suggesting that the chatter is out there that everybody knew. So are we to believe that Schiff and Nancy Pelosi had no idea that this was happening with Swalwell? Well, the ladies at The View have always been one to lean on for intellect, right? That we can look at Whoopi as somebody that can really guide us on the virtues of living a great life and standing up to tyranny. Well, here's Whoopi and what she had to say not only in this clip about Donald Trump, but then transition a year or two later on how Whoopi is responding the day that the news broke on Eric Swalwell's allegations.
This is all about the vengeance. It has nothing to do with factually what the reality is. These are small-minded, petty people who are now in charge of committees. And if they remove you, it's going to be a huge mistake, and people know it. Congressman Eric Swalwell just suspended his run for California governor over allegations of sexual assault. He's speaking out on social media. What about president?
But what you didn't hear from the ladies at The View, who love to tell you how you're an idiot, is any defense or sympathy for the women, now going on six women who have had allegations against Eric Swalwell. Whoopi didn't have any concern with that. And if you looked at the clip with with Adam Schiff, he was worried more about California making a grave mistake versus the consequences that Eric Swalwell should face if this allegation or these allegations are true, or even the horror that the women went through. If you looked at the news headlines yesterday, this was one of the women that had a presser telling her victim statement to the world about what Eric Swalwell did. And incidentally, since this young lady came forward, you can look at some of the filings, the expense report for Eric Swalwell, and it seems that you can see this at the bottom of this clip, that he had receipts and expenses for the same hotel that was in this same area on the night that this young lady is saying the alleged incident happened between her and Eric Swalwell. I am not going to play the audio because it's horrific. You can see that somewhere else. To listen to what this lady allegedly went through with Eric Swalwell, it's terrible. It's terrible. And it will serve no purpose for the point of this story, which is the defense of the Hollywood elite and how they're now crickets when the usefulness of Eric Swalwell is no more. the one golden boy that was running for governor and that jumped to Jimmy Kimmel. Where's Jimmy Kimmel? Where is his statement? Right? I mean, just again, this is somebody that announced his gubernatorial race on your show, and we're hearing nothing from Jimmy Kimmel. I'm not suggesting that Jimmy Kimmel knew. I'm suggesting that he has a responsibility to put a statement out, especially when his show was used to run this gentleman's campaign. It's despicable. It's not surprising because it's all part of the machine. The machine where Hollywood puts their backing, their dollars, their voices, and their ability to get to the national airwaves, incidentally for free, right, as part of their licensing agreements with the FCC. But this is where Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, the ladies at The View, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, I didn't see any one of those individuals putting up a true heartfelt concern for any of the ladies that came forward. That's the problem with where we are today. When these allegations come forward, this is no longer about politics. Or is it? Because when we look at these young ladies and what they've gone through, it should be about their well-being. And it should be about making sure that Eric Swalwell gets asked by the authorities about the facts. I don't think this story is over. It's far from over. But what's far from happening now is hearing the Hollywood elite on anything that has to do with Swalwell. And for that matter, any of the next congresswomen or congressmen that are up to nefarious, no good, and creepy deeds. Where are they? They lecture you, they lecture me on greenhouse, on climate, on how to spend our money, on if we could have gas stoves in our house. They're silent on something as important as this. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Did I miss anything in the Hollywood propaganda machine between Colbert, Kimmel, The View, and everybody else? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you've yet to subscribe to America First Alerts, please do so. And incidentally, the very next story, you're absolutely going to want to see this because we're actually going to stay right here in California with the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Gavin Newsom is now advancing a bill through the California legislature to make it illegal for citizen journalists like Nick Shirley, Nick Sorter from X, and others who have had exposés on the alleged fraud, not only in California, but also it's been in the press recently for Minnesota. You are not going to want to miss this story. It's coming up next.